Boom, we're here. Casey, when we start, you got to look at the camera.
Like, wait, and cue. Okay, got it.
All right, and we're starting off this episode with a little ad read from FitAid. Have you ever had FitAid before?
I have many times at the beach at our pro AVP events. They've activated there, so I love them. I'm stoked that you guys are involved together now. That's rad.
Dude, they're pretty fire. They sent me like a whole case, but here's the gist. FitAid, play hard, recover clean, a FitAid sports recovery drink. Each ice cold can of FitAid contains ingredients to help your body recover and never contains any artificial flavors or sweeteners, Casey. FitAid is only 45 calories, certified, non-GMO tested, vegan, paleo friendly, I should say, certified gluten-free and kosher. It contains omega-3s, full B complex and electrolytes. It's the perfect recovery blend for after your game of pickleball.
What else do you need? Do you even need to keep reading?
Exactly. No, it's exactly. So visit lifeaidbevco.com and enter code DINK20 at checkout to get 20% off. That's lifeaidbevco.com and code DINK20 for 20% off plus fast free shipping. FitAid Sports Recovery is a product of the LifeAid Beverage Company, the official recovery beverage of the Dink.
That's amazing. An official drink. That's amazing. It's a big step for you. It's a huge step.
Agreed. And how'd I do it? That's a first ever like actual ad read we've ever done on this. How'd I do?
When I closed my eyes, you sounded like Joe Rogan. It was amazing. It was just buttery. It was creamy. It was
That's what I was going for. That's what I was going for.
Like,
thank you. That means
I felt
the
like
world.
You got way stronger. Like you were throwing 100-pound kettlebells above your head. I mean, the whole thing.
Yeah, exactly. Well, that's what FitAid does for you, dude.
Right, exactly.
All right, Casey. First question. What are you doing on this podcast right now?
Well, I think what happened is you needed an upgraded co-host. That's what happened.
Fair.
Tyson's gone.
Fair.
I'm in. You just subbed one BYU Cougar for another.
Oh, I forgot you guys both went to the same school.
Yeah.
So that's exactly what we did. So we've got Casey Patterson here for a few episodes. We'll see how long you last.
Oh.
I'm pretty convinced that Tyson what?
I feel like I got pulled up for varsity, like just for CIF. Like I've been on the JV and I'm like the captain of the JV team.
Yeah.
And when you can travel a bigger roster for CIF, it's like the coach is like, Casey, you're up. And this is my chance, you know.
It is your chance, and it's your one and only chance. So so pressure's on, because I'm pretty sure right now Tyson is just somewhere practicing pickleball secretly because he was tired of taking shit in the comments, and he's got a little chip on his shoulder, and he wants to actually up the game.
Yeah, he's like, dude, everybody's like, you only post like pre-planned Ernies and ATPs. We know that you can't really do that in real life.
Dude, they do all look 100% pre-planned. Seriously.
All right, you're gonna hit line. I'm gonna ding to the angle down your line. You're gonna turn and go, and I'm gonna already jump before you hit it. Okay, here we go. Take one.
Exactly. Right, and then he's got like his high shorts on and some like weird music playing in the clip, and then he puts it on Instagram.
Yes.
Good stuff.
Yeah,
good stuff.
It's like
Tyson's a gem.
After it.
So we'll see. We'll see when he makes his return to Pickle Pod. But for right now, he's on a little bit of a hiatus. We've got Casey Patterson filling in. So Casey,
nervous and excited at the same time.
So Zane was our first Deckel was our first recurring guest, or maybe was it Zane? I don't know. But you're our first recurring guest who's also a host. So
I was worried. I was like waiting. I'm like, really? So I'm glad. I thought we might be having tryouts. Like, well, Zane, Deckel. I'm like, oh, they're having tryouts. I'm losing this battle for sure. That's gonna happen. I mean,
quasi-host. Yeah. All right. So, are you? Have you been watching the APP Del Rey this morning?
Not this morning. I haven't had a chance. I've been cleaning up leprechaun poop because it's St. Patrick's Day, and
It is.
the leprechaun. I mean, he came and there's poop everywhere. There's traps that have been set that no one has caught him, but there's signs of him everywhere. I mean, we had glitter bombs. I mean, he went nuts in our house. So I've been a
This
little
sounds
busy
like
this morning.
this sounds like you had a very strange family tradition growing up.
Yes, my wife is like hardcore any holiday, even if there's not school that's let out for it, and she's like, all right, we have to do something massive. It's basically like Disneyland over here for every holiday. So yeah, we've had a busy morning, but I haven't had a chance to watch Del Rey yet because I love that it's always live on YouTube and their individual channels for whatever tours is going. I think that's awesome. It's huge
Yeah.
because I feel like the sport's growing faster because of that. And I'm worried. I'm just going to go right in it. Like I'm worried that all this Olympics talk and all these other things where like tours are now exclusive. What happens is for us, NBC goes, all right, from the semis on, everything's locked. You can't watch it. You got to watch it live on NBC
Right.
or a delay, right? On
They
NBC.
do that sometimes.
And then you're like, well, okay, well, everyone you lose so much of the audience that's watching. I mean, people are at work nonstop watching the live stream and like commenting and text messaging us when we're playing until we get to the semis and they're like, well, what happened? So
Right.
I hope it doesn't lose that. I hope it doesn't lose it.
That's a pretty good segue though, because we had Zane Navratil write a blog for us about like what he thinks needs to happen for pickleball to overcome its, I would call it viewership stagnancy. So it does seem like the viewership is kind of idling in place right now, or at least it's not growing fast enough. So we kind of came up with like a few different suggestions, if you will, to improve pickleball's viewership. So his were like, okay, one would be rowdiness. So tennis, it's like quiet during the point, but basketball, it's like you can heckle, you're getting as rowdy as possible, and it adds another element and it elevates the excitement. His
I could
other
agree with
point
that.
was like, yeah, me too. I was like, that's a
Yeah, I mean,
no-brainer in my opinion.
Yeah. Oh, for sure.
He said paddle and ball technology. So continue to let paddle companies like innovate, create these crazy paddles like the Carbon, for example. And then same thing on the ball side, but also being cognizant of like which balls we use in which environments. Cause like sometimes if you're playing like a Franklin down in Florida, that thing's going to slow the game down a ton and you're not going to have as many hands battles. And on the other end, like if you're playing with like a Dura,
and it's cold, it's just they're breaking one every rally.
Yeah.
I mean,
or
I'm going through 5 a.m. to warm up.
Right.
So
All right. So
yeah.
So Zane did that blog. We put it in our newsletter. But you're somebody who comes from another professional sport. So you kind of outside looking in, but now, I mean, you're very much in this world. Like, what do you think are some of the things that could be done or need to happen in order for pickleball viewership and like the pro game to just continue to grow?
I think the rowdiness factor is 100% something that should be involved. I have a perfect analogy of what happened and why I feel like it's kind of getting stagnant. Is the other day we were training and I have this sick playlist. It's actually like an app where all these DJs throw playlists on with different genres. And I got 80s and 90s, got 90s hip hop mixed with like 80s, like top 40 culture songs. And everyone's like dancing and throwbacks. Everybody's getting the vibes. Everyone's feeling it. And then this group, the old squad, rolls in and they're like, excuse me, can you turn the music off? And the like 8 courts were like, oh, you know, and for this one court, because they want like the tennis quiet mentality. Like they just want to hear the ball the whole time. And we're all like, oh, what a bummer. Like that instantly kills the vibe and the growth of maybe kids that see it on TV, want to come play. And then there's music and like, oh, this is actually really fun. We get to socialize and hang out and there's tunes. This is rad. And that whole like maybe that old school tennis vibe, it totally crushes that. And I think 100% there needs to be commentary and crowd cheering. Like for us in volleyball,
for sure,
we have the ultimate combination. It's kind of like an NBA where in basketball, everyone can talk and cheer. For us, I mean, people are in the stands right next to us, similar to the NBA, they're like courtside, and they're either on your side talking crap. I mean, talking like trash to you, or they're on your side and they're firing you up. I mean, it's crazy, but that creates so much more of a viewer experience, and you feel like you're entertaining versus just playing a game. And pickleball is so entertaining, and those volley rallies are so insane. Like,
Yeah,
why not have the crowd be like, whoa, and like building energy, and the how loud everyone's getting throughout a volley. I'd be like, this is amazing. Or if everyone's dinking and someone's like, boring, you know what I mean? Like forcing those players to step up, and then let's say I speed it up, win the rally, and you're like, who
that's
said that? You know, and then I'd go over and talk to him
right.
and be like, bro, why aren't you on the court? How come you're not playing? Oh, you lot. Oh, you're 4-0? Oh, okay. So until you're on the court and I beat you, you can't talk like that to me. You know what I mean? Like, and then
Yeah.
everyone around's like, what's going on? Like, that experience would be so much more fun.
Yeah. Yeah. Wait, no, that's a great, but like they get into this dink rally, right? Which can go on for like 40, 50 shots in some instances. Imagine if the fans start like, at like egging them on to speed up, or,
Yes.
I, I could see that
Yes.
totally playing a factor.
We get that when we serve. Everyone's like match point. They're always like sky ball, and everybody wants us to hit like this gnarly, super high moon ball for match point.
Yeah.
And I mean,
Yeah.
it could be tied, and it's in the third set, and you're like, bro, everyone's pressuring me into hitting this serve, just this
Right.
monster serve that is like super inconsistent. You know, it's hilarious. So we get a lot of interaction from the crowd, and I think it builds players that are mentally more tough, because you're getting either heckled the whole time, and you learn to deal with
Yeah.
it and kind of in a very intellectual way kind of fire back, and then you end up winning a fan for life because you've won that one over that was talking trash.
Right.
I think it just builds a lot of like connectivity to the crowd and the fans, so that there's more loyalty in a sense of like, ooh, I can't wait to go because it's an experience, versus like, I
Definitely.
just go watch and I can't say anything.
Definitely. Yeah, I saw a clip this morning actually of Kevin Durant like chirping back at someone
Yep.
in the crowd. Like that would make for some good viral moments that I think
Yeah.
sport could
Yeah.
benefit from.
You could see Zane going over. I mean, he's like
He's too nice.
he's hilarious though. I feel like
Yeah, yeah,
he's the
yeah.
most underrated social media pickleball player to follow on the planet, because
Yeah.
everything he posts, I'm like, this dude, he is hilarious. He gets it. It's so funny. He heckles himself. He
Yeah.
also makes great plays. Like, he's like, the last one he did, I think you could do it the easy way or the Zane way. And he's like tripping and falling and diving and hits one like through his legs or whatever for the kill. And I'm like, he's so good at that. And I think that rowdiness creates a lot more of the connectivity even on social with the players. And then I think the growth will happen.
Yeah. Yeah. I agree. And I think another thing when it comes to just connecting fans to players, or making fans just care more. I think this is everybody's point. I've heard this a lot, but it's just
Yeah.
building up the backstories of the individual players. And that will lead into the creation of narratives of why these tournaments matter. Why should fans care about what they're watching? Because right now, I get the sense that when I go to a tournament, nobody really knows who the players are. I find myself like looking over to the person next to me and being like, hey, like, that's Anna Lee. She's actually, this age. She plays with her mom. Like, I'm
Yes.
like giving them more elements to get more
Yes.
engaged because they just don't
Yes.
know.
They
And
don't.
that's the case across the board. Like people don't know these players, and that's a massive problem.
There's a crazy similarity with that in beach volleyball, because we never hit like the NBA, MLB, NFL mainstream, but we were on TV a lot. And that's why I wanted to kind of be a player, because I used to record it on VHS and be like, this is insane. These guys are playing for so much money. And now that we play for a lot less, there's a huge disconnect in people that play for fun and they love playing the game of beach volleyball, and then knowing who the top players in the world and in the US are.
Right.
I know I'm walking with a rolling luggage in an airport out of a plane with this USA volleyball. Like, oh my gosh, you play volleyball too? My son is like the 15s. He won the 15s Open for USA development tour. Do you know him? It's Scotty. And I'm like, what, Scotty? Like, dude, I just won the gold medal in the Grand Slam and the AVP in Manhattan Beach. Like, but you don't say that, but you're like, there's a
Right.
huge disconnect. And it's the same
Yeah.
in pickleball because people are just like, they just go to play and for a workout and they know their little pods of communities. So it's like, we've actually done this exact thing that you just mentioned in volleyball. There's these two brothers with beards, the McKibben brothers, and they're Wilson athletes on the beach volleyball side, and so am I. And we all decided, like, look, we got to tell the stories. We got to create the Avengers of pickleball, of volleyball, so that people outside of volleyball are interested in their story. They're interested in, we told the history of the Manhattan Beach. You know what I mean? Like stuff like that, where it's like, oh, now I get it. I understand what's going on and why this is so important. Why that 15-year-old is so gnarly because her mom has been playing with her since she was 5 years old. You know, like that is huge. And people knowing that makes it so much more fun to watch.
For sure. For sure. I think like pickleball kind of weirdly has the unique challenge though too of like, it's not like this sport. I mean, it has been around forever, but the pro game hasn't been around forever. So
yeah,
there aren't that many like stories that date back to, you know, like the 90s or even the early 2000s or like
no McEnroes or whatever. Right.
10 years ago, right? It's like they're creating the history right now, right? Like Ben had a good year last year and everyone's like, GOAT. He's the GOAT.
Yeah. Oh yeah,
you know?
For sure. Yeah.
And there's just no one, because there's no one else to compare him to.
Yeah, right. And he's exactly in the sport where we were before it really got into the Olympics. The Brazilians in the US dominated, right? Because we had our own pro tours in our countries before there was like a world tour Olympics in mind.
Right.
And so Americans were like on TV, on Budweiser commercials. They had all the sponsors and everyone knew who they were, but the world hadn't caught up. And now it's like the Norwegians who are 20 and 21 years old are the best team in the world and won the gold medal. You're like, kids from Norway? Is there a beach in Norway? Like, isn't it cold there? I mean, and then guess who the second team is? A team from Qatar. And it's two dudes from a different country, not even from Qatar. Right. And Qatar's like, hey, come play for us. I mean, that's how much the world's caught up, where people that had no idea what beach volleyball was are now beating all of us. So that's where it's like, well, yeah, right now, he was the GOAT because right now he's in the forefront and he's laying the legacy of the sport in the pro world, right? And it's kind of cool. It's a pretty cool time for him, especially.
Yeah. Well,
I think you got JW Don Johnson, who's just like, all right, bro, I'm just gonna like.
That's what I was just about to say.
Yeah.
Because he's on my TV right now, so like every time I look away, he's playing some like former tennis player. But yeah, just like speaking of Ben, we call him the GOAT, and it's kind of unanimous. Like there really isn't much pushback, but all of a sudden it's like, okay, it's not a given that he's going to win anymore. At the PPA Riverland last week, him and Colin got eliminated, and he was beat by J-Dub. And now J-Dub's like kind of the one who's turning heads. And should he have a good year, on the double side, he's not as strong, but like, should he have a good year on the single side, everyone will be like, wait, is he the GOAT?
Yeah, right. We'll start to compartmentalize. Well, there's a singles GOAT, and then there's like an all-around GOAT. You know what I mean? You're getting like all the different categories. It's crazy the way he plays too. His style. I mean, if I kind of walk like him, like toes out, but I can't stand like him and just like, I always have my paddle and a forehand ready to just absolutely smash anything that comes to me. He's like, he doesn't move his body. And I'm like, this kid is unbelievable. It's unreal.
Right. It's like a wand. Sick. It's like he's holding a wand.
He's just waiting. I mean, Matt Wright and was just like speed up just subtly in that middle, right? Dink a little too high. He's like, funk, and he would just unload on every ball. I'm like, this kid is like a savant of the speed up. It's insane.
Yeah. He also just has that like demeanor about him. Like he's there to play pickleball and nothing else. He's and like the Terminator.
He hears nothing but like the ref calling the score. That's it.
Right. So
and then a little smile if he speeds the ball up in the background. That's it.
Yeah, like Zane would interact with the crowd. J-Dub's nah.
Right.
Zero.
It's funny because we would have that same type of mentality in players too. We got like Todd Rogers, who won gold in 2008 with Phil, and they're very stoic all the time, and maybe
Yeah.
made some of the greatest plays ever seen in volleyball. And they'd be like, not even high-fiving, just turning and going back and serving. You know, I make that play and I'm like, that's what we trained the other day. Oh my gosh, he told me he was going to do that. I would be like making up scenarios and interacting with the crowd like, this is unreal. That was all on you because you told me to do that in the crowd. You know, if someone said something, you know, I would try to get everybody involved. But there needs to be all of those styles because it makes it, the contrast makes it so fun to go be entertained into the different styles. It's it's so good.
Right.
Oh,
Right.
it's rad. It's good to see those guys do well though. Those young kids just balling right now. It's crazy.
Yeah, he is. So I'd imagine he's gonna win this set. So this is the Delray Beach Open. They just came off a rain delay, but I was watching this morning, or wasn't watching this morning, but I got a text this morning from this kid Alex Newman. Have you heard of this kid?
I think I read about him in your newsletter.
So he's like so former Northwestern tennis player, kind of new on the scene, just moved down to Florida. He's been writing for us, so you can read all about like his stories on our blog, and we write about him in the newsletter. Another kid like playing with a carbon, of course, which by the way, you can get carbons for 10% off carbonpickleball.com.
Okay.
If you use code the Dink, but yeah, so Alex is
your
on
purchase. We'll give you a shout out.
Yeah, no promises there, but yeah, we can say that. All right, so Alex beat Zane this morning. Let's see, at the PPA Riverland, he beat Tyler Loong, then Hayden Patriquin, then Jay DeVilliers, and then lost to Tyson McGuffin. But the kid's been on an absolute hot streak. He beat Jack Foster back in December. He beat Zane this morning, and he's another one of these former tennis players who's come out of nowhere and is all of a sudden like completely just turning heads. And I don't know, he just seems like he can't be stopped right now.
That's the perfect intro for a tennis guy, is to don't even touch doubles and just go play singles.
Yeah.
I mean, how much more like of a comparison is that? Like, oh, all my shots are similar, like a backhand slice, third shot drop, right? I mean, I'm doing like 3/4 drives that are like just nasty and dipping on the sidelines, and then just playing the game, the cat and mouse game, right? I feel like those guys come in, and I think that's like the perfect introduction to, oh, this court, it's the same thing, but a smaller court. I'll own this. You know what I mean? It's cool. We have a lot. We have a lot of that on the volleyball side, where guys come from the indoor team, then 6-on-6, and they're like, I could play beach. The one advantage we have is they got to go play in really deep sand and the elements, where they're always used to being inside of a building. And you're like, oh, dude, this guy touches like almost 13 feet. How am I going to beat him? And then they come out and they're like, they can barely move. And you're like, okay, good, we're safe. But I think with the tennis pickleball comparison, where it's the same surface, just a smaller court, it's like, if these guys start converting over, it's going to be, the depth is going to become insane.
Yeah, no, I mean, we're seeing it all over right now, particularly lately. So I think singles is more, I don't want to say in jeopardy, but in jeopardy of being disrupted than doubles. But I'm all for it. Like I think that's another thing that I think needs to happen, is like we need more of these tennis players to just come and elevate the competition.
Right. They bring notoriety. They're bringing more like media, just because it's also something new. And then just the level that those guys are playing already in tennis, you're just like, dude, I went and tried to play. I mean, I started playing tennis after I played pickleball, because I was like, everyone who's good at pickleball plays tennis. I was like, I better go play tennis and see why. What's the conversion? Like, why? And I stuck it.
Probably, it probably helps your game, right?
It does though, because it's like I think in pickleball, you get so caught up in like a quick touch with your paddle that you forget that in order to have more control, it's like, I need more time on that ball with my paddle to be able to manipulate or follow through. And I feel like I almost play it too much like ping pong when I started, like too much of like a poppy touch, and there's not enough time on the ball for me to control it how I want to. And tennis makes you do that. And I think that's where it translates so well into guys being immediately good at pickleball, because they've had all of those reps of like a long contact, and they process, right? You see the ball, you're reading the ball, and then you're able to like manipulate it, hit it cross if a guy leans. Like all that stuff is so valuable. So I think it's
Yeah.
like, it's helped me. I'm like, oh, it kind of opens my eyes into certain scenarios. And I'm like, oh, I could use that there. That's good. You know what I mean? I think it's cool.
Right. Yeah, I
Yeah.
think like more and more paddle manufacturers are moving in that direction too, right? They're trying to figure out how to design a paddle that helps the ball
Yeah.
stay on it longer so that
Right.
you can do more with it. It operates more like a tennis
Yeah.
racket with tennis strings where the strings grip the ball for, a split second, but
Yeah.
enough to put
Right.
some wicked spin or shape on it.
Mm-hmm.
And then
Yeah.
you're able to like be J-Dub and just rip them down the line and ping corners,
just,
right?
just unload and maybe a smirk.
But
Maybe a
probably
smile.
not.
Like I already computed that it was supposed to happen.
Right. Right. So you did watch the PPA Riverland. You said you were folding laundry last night, watching
Yeah.
those replays. So you
Stretching the
saw,
hammies, folding laundry,
yeah,
watching those guys play in the final. And they had that first set was awesome for them. They were up in the beginning and really had Matt and what am I
Riley.
say? Had Matt and Riley. It's crazy because I love watching Riley. I don't know why I forgot his name, but Matt and Riley were just kind of like searching for their thirds, searching for their kind of reset, searching for where do we speed up, because they were unstoppable. Anytime Matt and Riley tried to speed up, I mean, they were just firing back so fast that those guys were stuck for a long time. So
Who were
it
they
was really
playing in the
fun
final?
watching that.
Was it
It was
J-Dub and Dylan
J
Frazier?
Dub and Frazier, yeah.
Yeah.
And Frazier and J Dub were just their ability to just sit and wait for someone to speed up and absolutely counterattack is really fun to watch.
No, yeah,
It's
those
really
two
cool.
specifically, they have some of the fastest hands once they're at the kitchen line.
Yeah. Without standing there waiting, it's almost as if they are. They have like this really like just calming like position, and then it's just funk, speed up, and they're
Yeah.
absolutely smashing your speed up. You're like, okay, here we go. What do we do here? And they were working
Yeah,
the
no,
middle on
they're
Riley and Matt really well, and then waiting for speed ups. I mean, they had a really good game plan. They executed until that last third of the game. Riley and Matt are like, okay, we're gonna just be winners and be veterans here and take it.
No, they're nasty. And by the way, so I was just saying I have J-Dub on the TV right now. So J-Dub took the first game off this tennis player Stroxrud. I don't even know how to say his name. Some young former tennis player. Lost the second game. So dropped the second game. So this guy is kind of like new on the scene. So dropped the
Yeah.
second game 11-8. Now they're in a third game. So J-Dub's at risk of being upset here by another kind of tennis player coming over on a whim. This guy's up in the third game right now, 4-2. J-Dub serving. So we'll see what happens there.
That's going to be the natural progression for you for pickleball too, is that you're going to get these people that you've never seen before who are super confident and aren't scared of you, and you have zero information on them. And you see like all the top teams, like on our tour, if I don't even need to prep for a top 8 team that I play because I've played them 1,000 times. And then you play a guy that's just as good or better, but you don't know who he is because he's new. You're like, uh-oh, I have zero information. So I'm just full animalistic instinct the whole time, right? You got to go old school and be like, all right, I came to the park and this is the local legend I've never met and he's dominating. It's like, dude, you have to be on the fly, figuring out and more. Now it comes back to me just executing on what I can control. It's crazy because you're going to get a lot of those guys, especially like we said in singles. It's going to be rad because then you're going to see, I mean, with all these tours and everything having money pumped in, people are going to start watching more film. They're going to be breaking down. Like we have this thing that was called data volley, and we'd watch a match and we'd break down every, let's say, forehand drive from JW in zone 1. Let's say near the right back service area. If he drives from here, here's his percentage of here. And I'm guessing you guys do that in tennis a lot. Like you'd break it down right before you. Oh, that's so perfect. I wish I'm getting a little tired too. Wish I had my fit aid with me. Mine's on its way.
Yeah, you like that?
Oh, you're like, oh, Casey's talking a lot. Let me get some energy here. I'm gonna power up. But I just think that the higher the level, the more guys get involved, especially from the tennis side, you're going to see so much more analysis through scenarios. with types of like each individual tour. Like let's say Austin, all right, we know the balls, maybe it's a little bit humid there that time, or the you know, the temperature, the ball's going to play this way. All right, we go to Florida, the ball, it's going to be humid, even more humid, and
Yeah.
it's going to be manipulative. We're going to be able to wrap balls better. Then we're going to go to the Red Rock Open, and it's going to be dry and fast. And so
Yep.
then you're also you're doing analysis on each one of those locations and the player in that location. It's going to get so gnarly that I even had like a team. I had a video guy, a guy that would break down the video into specific segments: backhands,
Really?
forehand, serve,
Yeah.
receive, from all locations, out of system scenarios. What do they do? When do they earn? When do they, like that kind of a thing? So you're going to go in with like so much information that when you play a guy like this, like JW right now, you're gonna be like, I've never seen this guy before. There's nothing on
Yep.
him on YouTube. He's been secretly playing somewhere. I don't know what to do, and he just balls out, you know. And then you're going to get the Cinderella stories too, where you know they're going to fly through, like Alex. You're just like, who is this guy? What's happening? It's going to be cool. A lot more stories like that are going to be rolling in.
Anna Bright's probably the greatest recent example of that. I mean, there's plenty of them, but you know, and now all of a sudden Anna Bright's down here training at Dreamland with a bunch of pros. You know, people are talking about her. She's like the face of stuff. It's like she had, you know, one tournament where she came in and just cleaned up, and everyone's like, who the hell is this girl? It's like, this is going to happen.
Yeah.
This is going to continue to happen.
A lot. New Instagram handle, PB at the end. It's perfect.
Yeah, right. Do you like, still don't get that, by the way, but I hope one day I'm like big enough in any segment where I have to create like a separate Instagram to keep my two lives separate.
Yeah. Got to get another one. Yeah.
But all right. So on the J-Dub note, though, with that, with his win last weekend, he beat Ben. So he is now so are you familiar with Duper, like the rating system?
Yes. I use it all the time because it's amazing. He's the number one guy now, right?
Yeah. So he's number one. And I would always, my curiosity is like, all right, so will Duper end up being like a future predictor, right? Because they're based on data, but it takes everybody else kind of time to decide that, okay, let's just, in this hypothetical situation, J-Dub continues to beat Ben over and over again. He continues to beat Zane, Jay. He continues to be the top dog. And it's like, all right, so 6 months from now, we're like, all right, J-Dub, he is number one. And it's sort of unanimous. And we're like, yeah, well, Duper predicted that, you know, 6 months ago. Like we knew that if we just trusted the data. And, so we'll
the Back to the Future almanac almost. Marty's pulling it from the future, bringing it back. It really is though. Like it's rad how that works. They've done such a good job of the rating system that now I almost don't even play games with like a group we set up without putting Duper on the line or money. And Duper has become like money because the motivation is different, right? You train, you do drills, you do skills type stuff, but then when you play, it's like, dude, I'm here to validate those things and win. And so if I don't have like motivation, like Duper immediately added that for me. And I was like, this is the greatest thing ever. Because now I'm not losing money to guys who are way better than me, but betting them so that I play better. Like I try way harder. Like in volleyball, I'd always put like a $20 bill in the antenna with like Velcro. I'd be like, all right, if you guys win this, it's yours. You get lunch on you guys. You're like, on me. You got lunch. Yeah. And it always made I mean, I think I lost that one time in like 5 years. Because I was like, all right, here we go. It's for real now, you know? And Duper does that. And it's sick to see that J-Dub can be like, you know, and then he also gets to claim that stuff, which in turn, which is really cool, could add elements to his sponsorship deals when he signs contracts. Hey, anytime I'm finish an event or I'm the number one guy, I get $1,000 kicker from you guys. You know what I mean? Like make it cool and utilize that stuff. That could be rad.
Yeah, it just touches on another note, the way these like player contracts are going to continue to develop and these sponsorships are going to continue to grow and take on new forms. Everything's in its infancy. And
it's the Wild West right now.
Yeah, we're just going to continue to see so many changes. And that's what makes pickleball exciting right now.
It does, because you see I mean, I think I see a new brand or company either adding pickleball to their world, or a new one that's starting like kind of on its own. And it's insane, the similarities. I mean, beach was the same way. You had like the local company sponsoring athletes, then big brands wanted to get involved.
Yep.
Then they went away, then they came back, and you're just like, right now is the best time to capitalize that. Like, I think, is Tyson wearing, what's Tyson McGuffin wearing right now? I just saw that he's got Skechers. He was like head to toe Skechers. Because he has his own line with Selkirk, which was rad. And I was like, oh, that's cool. Smart by Selkirk. Like, they're building a brand around him.
Yep.
And he was wearing a lot of legend stuff, which I have a history in and kind of helped launch that brand myself. And then now he's like,
I have a bunch of legend stuff.
They were a sock company only. The owner came from lacrosse, sold his Adrenaline lacrosse like tournament series and professional league. And
I knew Adrenaline lacrosse. Yeah.
Yeah, he had a non-compete, and so he was like, "Oh, I'm going to do socks." And then he was talking to me, and we were trying to enter the volleyball space and kind of run and start the same thing he did in the volleyball space. And I was like, "Dude, socks are cool, but let's do like a Lululemon, but that's like more of like a street style that guys want to wear versus like, oh, I'm wearing the yoga brand that the girls, because at that time it was the girls' yoga brand. I'm like, let's make there's like top 8 things guys wear every day when they're playing. Let's go legends." And then now it's like, now he's in like Skechers. I'm like, whoa, he's probably getting a pretty good deal from them, because I know they got money.
Yeah. Well, it helps
cool,
that he's building his brand across multiple platforms right now.
Oh yeah.
Now he's focusing on TikTok. Like, there's nothing, and it's really going to pay off for him. And we're seeing that, right? He has tons of different sponsors, and he's now, getting the attention of a Skechers, right?
Yeah.
So,
he's definitely crushing in all of those areas.
There are other deals like that in the works that, I'm just hearing whispers about, and I think we're just going to continue to see more of that. I mean, FitAid's a great example of that.
So see the opportunity and the growth of the sport, and they're a perfect fit. So that makes so much sense for them to be like, okay, how do we enter this space, and how do we get involved and support it and be a part of the staple of pickleball? It's smart by them.
I want Crocs. I want Crocs to come in, and I want Crocs to be the official footwear of the Dink, and I want free Crocs for life.
That was an official, our tour used to be called the AVP Crocs Beach Volleyball Tour. We had Crocs for 4 years. Oh yeah, dude. I'm telling you, pickleball is like, it's like beach volleyball went through everything I've gone through, and now it's like I'm watching it again, being like, "What is this? Am I having deja vu? But I have a paddle in my hand now. This is so crazy."
Yeah, right.
Yeah,
right.
Crocs is a perfect fit, right? Like nobody wants to wear their shoes the whole time. You want to take your shoes off and let your feet breathe a little. Crocs are perfect. We got to make that happen. I was actually just talking to them when James Lawrence, Iron Cowboy, did 101 consecutive full triathlon marathon. Like, he did the full triathlons in a row every day, and we were in talks with him about getting Crocs dialed in, and he got it, and they're rad. We'll make that happen. Let's do that. After this, I'll get on a call.
Yeah, all right, I like it. You can be our new rep. You can get us those deals.
Yeah, exactly.
All right, so behind J-Dub in Duper, by the way, just because it's worth mentioning, is Ben, of course, and then Tyson, who we were just talking about, Zane, who we've mentioned, and then Jay DeVilliers. So that's kind of the top 5 right now.
They're like 0.10, 0.25, like away from it.
Like J-Dub and Ben have like 7 ratings. I'm a 5, so I'm just slightly far. So basically what that's saying is like Ben and J-Dub are more better than me than I am like a 3.5 or like a 4. So
you're like, oh, I thought I was getting close.
Yeah, no, that just puts it in perspective where they are right now.
Yeah, that's so funny. It's crazy, and that's the difference, right? You're like, oh, I'm getting close, and then like, when you play the top guys, there's a huge difference.
Yeah, it's a joke. There's no chance if I were to That's why also I don't play singles. I can't handle it.
Well, your quads, like my freaking knees and quad tendons and hip flexors after, 2 games of singles. I'm like, all right, I'm going to have to do some
Dude, it's
therapy for the
brutal.
next week.
It's brutal. So I
Yeah.
started doing hot yoga to try and help with that. But the problem with hot yoga is you get super dehydrated. So after every hot yoga, I got to drink Relight. Do you know of Relight? The
No, I
hydration
don't.
mix?
What?
Solid. Yeah. Well, so it's made with
And now
real
you're winning
salt from
singles.
right. If I'm able to stay hydrated, do more yoga, get back out on the court, and actually start my singles career, yeah, I get some wins. I
Right?
close that gap a little bit.
And they use real, is it real salt in the mix? So you
From Utah,
absorb.
man. From Utah.
Oh, well, then it's good.
Yeah, it's fire. It tastes really good. I actually need it to I'm somebody who, if I get dehydrated, I have withdrawn from pickleball tournaments because the heat has such an effect on me. So like I actually need something like this. So
Wow.
yeah. No, that's real. That's not even part of so they sponsor us, but that's an authentic thing.
That's amazing.
Yeah.
That's clutch. That part's big, and I think a lot of people don't, even just the avid, weekly player, they don't realize that they're probably dehydrated 90% of the time because people aren't hydrating themselves as much, and it takes 2 days before to really prep for like a big tourney. Like 2 days
Yeah.
out, you got to be crushing all your stuff to prep so that your body doesn't just shut down.
Yeah. And we've got PPA Austin the Austin Open is going to be here next weekend. So I've got to figure out how to get in shape for that. I've not been playing since I've moved to Austin. So you might not know this, but I moved to Austin at the beginning of the
I
year.
was just going to ask, you're in Austin now.
Yeah. And in my mind, I was like, all right, there's all these pros here. Like I ran into Colin Johns walking down the street when I was getting my haircut, like on last Thursday,
Colin.
which was
Colin.
funny. I was like, Colin, what's up? And yet, despite all that, I've only played one time since I've moved to Austin in almost 3 months now. So brutal.
There's a little bit of that. They're basically initiating you. They're like, hey, let's keep them cold for a couple of days and make them really earn this. You can't just jump in and be a part of the squad.
In my mind, I was going to be training with pros every day, and I was going to be like actually having a pro career now. And yeah, it's definitely not the case. So we got a long way to go at this point.
But where in Austin? I mean, without divulging your address, what area are you in? Are you near is it the Domain, where there's like that gnarly the Domain, and then there's like the rad main street with all the restaurants that are on both sides of the street?
I'm like on that street. So if I just look out my window right now, like I'm right downtown on that river. So I'm in a cool spot, but if you're right downtown, it's tougher to find pickleball courts too. But there's enough around here. I just got to stop. I got to stop making excuses, honestly.
Yeah, I've even played at a bar that had 2 courts. It was amazing. Everyone was watching.
No, I think I know what you're talking about. When you were in Austin?
Yeah.
Yeah.
They had like a whole event there for us, all the beach people. They're like, hey, come play pickleball and hang, and there's cornhole. And I was like, this is perfect. This is amazing.
That's the one I've played at. I can't remember the name right now, but I've been there a few times. Actually, really solid courts. J-Dub just pulled off that win. So but it was tight in the third game. He won 11-8. So this guy, again, I'm going to butcher his name, Stocksford. Pay attention to him. He'll continue to come around. I've seen him in the last few events kind of like creeping into the fold, and it won't be long before he's on a singles podium.
Is he a D1 tennis guy that's kind of converted over? Did he play somewhere?
Yeah, I'm pretty sure he is. So ready, let's go. Find out right now. So he played at I don't know, what are the Privateers? What mascot is Privateers? I don't even know.
Privateers. I have no idea.
So I see him at Tennessee Wesleyan. Is that a thing? And
Wow, this guy is just super stealthy.
so he's from Argentina, former tennis player, and looks
Oh,
like he did
okay.
some pro tennis. So he's definitely a solid player, and he's showing that on the pickleball court. So we'll see what he does. He
Yeah,
seems like he's going to be really solid, though. I mean, he's given J Dub a run for his money, so he's just another example of what we were talking about. So
yeah.
what's
You just need that one set win. You're like, yep, I can do this. You know what I mean? Against the number one guy right now. You're like,
yeah,
all right,
and
I'm
like
not scared
then
anymore.
the light bulb goes off, right? Like I think for
Yeah.
Alex Newman, he texted me back in December when he had a pretty big win over Jack Foster, and then next
Uh-huh.
thing you know, he's down in Florida training with J Dub. He said he was training with Jack Foster, Eden Lika, and surrounding himself with the right talent. So for him, like that light bulb went
Yeah.
off, and he was like, "All right, if I actually make a run at this thing, I can make some waves here." Fast
Yeah.
forward to today, and he's coming up with some big time wins. So
Some big
it's
wins.
it's cool to
That's so
see, and
cool.
it's also cool to see that acceleration in such a short period of time. And
Right.
yeah,
Right. I
so
think that's the hardest part of any sport is if you're not surrounded by the best players that are constantly pushing you to play at a higher level, you just kind of like big fish, little pond all the time. And you're like,
yeah,
and then you only see it when you play in an event and you're like, I need to be around this more. I got to
yep,
see this all the time. That's cool. That's rad.
yeah.
It's a big
Need to get
step.
exposure to other talent for sure. All right, what's coming up for you? When's the next pickleball tournament you're going to be at?
Jeez. Well, I signed up for the Red Rock Open to play in that one, but I think my family, I don't know, who knows? There could be a spring vacation that I didn't know about that I have to go to, which is not vacation anymore because now all I think about is playing pickleball. But
Yeah,
I'm
right.
trying to play in as many events as possible. We actually set up a bunch of like money ball round robins locally to kind of get that feel all the time. Everybody puts like $50 in, winner takes all, kind of a thing. But I'm I'm looking to play in everything I can coming up after this point. All the PPAs, anything local, a Newport event, or there could be one in Santa Barbara, like stuff like that. So for me, it's play as many terms as possible, see as many different styles and types of players as possible, and constantly kind of be on the pulse of what's going on, so that you can get better. Because I'm all in. I think it's crazy how much how addicting this sport is. It's
What level
insane.
are you playing at right now?
So I only, not because I belong there, but I only, now from now on, I'm only playing in 5-0s. And if
Nice.
I get beat down, cool. I don't care. Like I want to see the level and speed and
Right.
compete, because I know physically I can compete with. I mean, I could go play pro physically if I was good at pickleball. You know what I mean? Like from
Yeah.
running around in the sand to a hard court, I'm like, this is way easier.
Yeah.
So it's just a matter of getting really good. So for me, it's just like play as much as possible. It's kind of how I
Yeah.
get
Play the
in the
best competition too.
yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
So like if I'm not getting beat or I'm not the guy getting most of the balls, I'm like, oh, this group, I need to go somewhere else because I need to be the guy that's constantly being pressured.
Right. Right.
Yeah. So that's kind of the plan for me here, is just get in as many events as possible and just get better slowly.
Yeah.
So it's fun.
Yeah. I when Tyson and I went and played in Vegas, we played what did we play? Did we play 4-0 or 4-5? We
Uh-huh.
got absolutely smoked. But I like to play 5-0 only.
Yeah.
Um, and no, I agree with you. Like I just want to play the best competition possible. So that's why I
Yeah.
played some like pro stuff too. Just you can start to like get a sense for like, all right, what does the top level look like? But the top
Right.
level is also like it's the goalposts are moving because
Yeah.
everybody
There's
everybody
huge
is getting better.
separation.
Yeah.
Yeah. Right. It's crazy. The separation in the 3-0 to or a 4-0 to 5-0 is the same in like three other tiers in the pro world. It's the same with, we play guys that qualify, through the day before of an event. And let's say we get like the number one qualifier team and they just dominated in the qualifier, which is a bunch of like, let's say it's 5-0 guys. And then they come play us and we're beating them like 21-11, 21-12. And it's
Yeah.
just, they don't see the things and they don't have the tools to get themselves out of trouble. They're not seeing those kind of speeds or those types of like misdirection and set plays that complement each other. They don't see that. And a lot of us don't see that when we play pickleball. And then you go play and you get like the post-tournament interviews with like a Matt and a Riley. They're like, oh yeah, we knew they're going to work the middle, so we decided to just hang tight, get our drops. We knew that they were going to be good if we sped up, they'd be able to like really attack those. So, we knew that we're just going to have to like bide our time. And that's the same theory I have. I'm like, a team gets all fired up and it's like 11-all, and their side of the crowd is like, let's go, we got this, these guys overrated, and everyone's yelling, and I'm like, and then we beat them 21-11. I'm like, you guys are adorable. You know what I mean? Like, you act like we haven't been doing this our whole life, and supporting our families on it. Like, this is where we're most comfortable. And that's the same like pickleball. It's like you go play a guy and you're like, uh-oh, like we got a chance, and then they just go, all right, enough, I'm not going to play with my food anymore. And they just destroy you. And you're seeing that for sure more and more at different levels.
Yeah, you see it click. I played in a tournament versus my partner, and I played against Matt Wright and Lucy Kovalova in mixed, and we were getting some solid points. We were feeling comfortable. I think we got 5 off them the first game, and then you could tell they were like, all right, this is annoying. They turned it on, and we couldn't.
They're like, uh-oh.
Basically couldn't.
Thomas is starting to believe. Thomas is starting to believe a little bit. Lucy, let's take care of this.
Yeah. Right. And they just went. So they went into go mode, and they just they took care of us. So that was an eye opener for me. The actual difference between an amateur and a pro. And again, that gap is continuing to widen. So,
but that's why you got to play like a 5-0 all the time, because when you're done playing a 5-0, like the last one I played in Newport, we went 2-2. Played these 2 UCLA kids that had graduated like a year ago on the tennis team, and they're playing pickleball now. And their ability to drive a ball from any height or location was kind of remarkable. And you're like, all right, this is crazy. So we got to play old school pickleball. We got to dink and make them play the slow game. And that's how we like barely like we ended up beating them. But I mean, it was sketchy because these kids they were good. And it's like, then there was a difference between, then I played like Matt Chow, and he was playing with like a kind of an OG pro type 5-0 guy. And they kind of smashed us. And I was like, wow, there's a big difference in those two worlds, where you play like maybe a normal 5-0 guys that belong there and that have the physical capabilities, to a real 5-0 like pro, also like even above that, like a mid-range pro in a 5-0 event. And you're like, oh, okay, yeah, I'm not really that close. I thought I was closer, but you don't see that unless you play in those, because then I get to go home and be like, probably how you feel. You're like, oh, okay, cool. I can hang in these areas. This area needs a lot of work. And then the team dynamic in these scenarios need a lot of work too. Cool. Now I have something to go like work on. Or if I go play in a 4-0, I'm like, I just beat myself because no one was better than me and I just made errors. You know what I mean? You're like, okay, cool. Like I should have won that whole thing and I got silver or whatever, It's like, but a 5-0, I feel like I need to be like tested and pushed and found wanting, after, and be like, oh, okay, I need to do these things.
I also think when you play up, you tend to lock in and play your best game. And then sometimes if you go down a level and you sort of think, okay, I can just play like hero ball because I'm better than these players and I can just sort of like show out. You end up playing down to them, right? Because
for sure,
you're impatient, you're taking risks you normally wouldn't. Then you end up like losing to people who just simply aren't as good as you. And you're like, what? You're like, and you actually can, in those moments, lose confidence.
For sure. And then you see their Instagram highlight posts of the 2 plays where they just embarrassed you, and somehow those are on. You're like, I mean, that was always the funniest thing, is anytime
those are always the ones that make it.
They're like, hey, is it cool if we record practice? I'm like, yeah, cool. And then I'd be driving home from the beach, and then there'd already be a post and it'd be tagged. I'd be like, oh, just getting after it today against Patterson, Buttinger. And they're like, it'd be them like hitting me in the face. Like I'd get 6-packed. I'm like, cool, we beat you 21-7, but that's the post that you put up.
Right.
It's so good. Yeah. Then you're like, wait, what do I do here? Yeah. You lose confidence, but we always have that term, you play to the level of the water. Right. So if you're drowning a little bit, you gotta learn to swim,
Yep.
So that's the 5-0 for me. I gotta I'm just doggy paddling with my nose just above the water right now. Like, oh, I can breathe. I can kind of look around, but
Right.
I want to be just flowing freestyle and winning, you know? So it's good.
Yeah. Yeah. All right. Can we change gears here?
Yeah, let's do it.
I'm going to do a little,
Yes.
a show here. I'm going to put some
So
glasses on. You need to
we,
tell me which ones you like best. We've got the Tortoise Boys.
oh, okay. I like those. Those are sick.
We've got these grays.
Okay. There we go. You kind
And
of got,
for anybody just listening, this is why you got to watch on YouTube, because we're doing a little fashion show right now. And
yeah.
we've got these black glasses.
Okay. Those are game times. Yeah. That's semifinals. So you got quarters, semis, and finals. You just switch it up every round.
All right, so these are I'm putting on the Tortoise guys because these are my favorite. These are from Sport RX. So these guys do prescription sports glasses, which are like, the whole company is athletes with PhDs basically, and they specialize in like, because you were telling me that
Yeah.
when you play volleyball, you wear like prescription protective Oakleys, right? Which they
Yeah.
sell.
Yeah. And they don't look anything like those. I look like I was a total doofus with like, they were like, at that point, they were the huge glasses, almost like the road bike ones with the prescription ones inside. So I look like Squints from Sandlot.
Yeah.
I was like,
Yeah. Yeah.
like I couldn't see anything.
Right.
I'm like, wait, why do they look like this? Like, I look like such an alien. My kids even tease me like, Dad, what's wrong with your face? I'm like, it's not my face. These like the double lens thing is so weird. Where those look, you can't even tell. Dude, those look sick.
Yeah, because I play with a guy who he insists on wearing eye protection, which I think you should. And he doesn't need a prescription or anything, and he just plays with no lenses in them, so it's literally just
the
like
frames,
the bars, and I crack up every time because he honestly looks like such a moron. I'm like, dude, you need to get some more stylish glasses, and like go to Sport RX, like pick out a decent pair.
They probably have clear too, right? They'll have clear. They'll have different like shades.
Yeah. And well, they also carry like every major brand, right? Like Oakley and stuff like that. So
that's sick.
But they're
what a smart idea.
Yeah, like if you have a parent also who is needs like prescription like sports glasses, but you don't want your parent to look like an idiot.
Yeah. They're wearing the transitions inside to out.
Yeah.
Go
get them something cool.
Seriously, those are like mainstream trending shades right there. The frame's perfect.
There's the black ones again. They're pretty solid. All right. So I'm wondering when we're going to see Tyson back. So you guys just gotta keep tuning in to wait till you see Tyson make his triumphant return, and who knows, maybe he'll come back and be like, yeah, I'm a 5-0 now.
And you're like, where did you go? Like,
yeah,
seriously, like, what did he do? Did he just go? It was like the Survivor of pickleball, where he was forced, or it's like learning a language, but you don't learn it. You just go live in that country, and you're like, I got to figure it out. Where's the bathroom? Where's food?
He'd have to do something drastic to get up to a 5-0 at this point. So that wouldn't surprise me if that's his goal.
It would probably take a lot longer than time he's probably going to be gone, but we'll see. Yeah. He's probably going to be on steroids. So he's going to come back 20 pounds heavier. He's just going to be jacked. Like, what happened? Super camp.
So subscribe, and if you guys are on Spotify, hit that little follow button, and tune in next week, and we'll see if Tyson's back or if it's me and Casey again. Either way,
yes,
we're gonna have Casey. Actually, let's see. Next week, when's April? So we've got 2 episodes till then.
Yeah.
So 2 episodes from now is going to be a very interesting episode. But next week, you're going to have Casey and I again, and we'll see if Tyson's back.
Yeah, we'll hopefully see if you've played it since then, right? I'm hoping you've at least played one or 2 times.
Me
That'd
too.
Be helpful. Yeah, seriously. Yeah, stoked. See you guys next week. Let's do this.
Later.